Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here. So this is a little bit of a continuation off of August 20th Universal Astrology episode, our daily episode. And I was absent from the long stream yesterday, so this is kind of a makeup. Sorry I was gone. So I have some things to check up on, basically, that I wanted to follow up on yesterday. Honestly, I'm going into this a little bit blind because I ended up being pretty busy yesterday on other things just in life, and I had no internet, so it kind of forced me to get some stuff done. But I also didn't have access to internet most of the day yesterday, so I know I was watching on my phone what I could, but I'm just gonna dig in and just kind of do the research that I want to do and explain as much as I can along the way. So typically I do longer streams on Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 12 to 2, whenever I can. They're basically bonus streams, so here goes nothing. I'm gonna throw on and just keep it easy, keep it simple, my research screen so we can see what's going on. I think I'm just trying to make sure that all my stuff is working well here for me. Okay. We're ready! So I'm gonna go ahead and turn on screen capture and just start diving into some stuff here. Put my chat back up so I can talk to people. If you ever want to join one of these live streams, you can just go to twitch.tv/Universal Astrology and join me live for these recordings. All right. No, not that. We need this guy. So the first thing that I want to check on is the sun, of course. So we're just gonna go do some observation and see what we see. And then we will go see what we see on the actual soul search. So this is the sun yesterday and today at 193 angstroms. This spot here has been real active. Right here it's just bubbling and oozing and all kinds of stuff. But it's gonna be rotating around to the other side, and then we'll be able to see what's been going on the other side of the sun. It's these lower areas that have produced some of the CME stuff, and we have this large coronal hole up top. The other angstrom, I love seeing this version of the sun. I just love seeing the plasma loops and all the activity on the limbs, like little arms of stuff. I just think it is so freaking cool to see all this stuff like flare out, come back in, make connections, billow out, come back in. I just think that this view is awesome. 304 angstroms. Wow, look at all this stuff right over here. Sometimes you see stuff jump so far from one edge to the other that it's just incredible. What I'm not seeing in this frame though is anything come off. So that's a good thing, because we're just dealing with the storm probably today. That's the other thing I need to check is what's up with that solar storm of the last CME, because it was supposed to hit yesterday evening and today. Wow, look at this sunspot. Oh my gosh. Okay. And in this view, we're able to see a lot of the haze around and see a lot of the aura. So when we have activity flare out, we can see how far these loops are going, how big they really are. Bring it back to the beginning again. So we see some huge loops here in a moment. See right here? Wow. There's other ones back here too. And it looks like they're smaller ones, but they're actually just farther behind. They're coming around the limb, and they're probably just as large as these loops that we're seeing on this. Here's more loopings, and you can just see how see that right there, that stuff that just trailed off. That might be something that we see in Solar Search here in a moment. I'm gonna watch this area again. There's a long string of stuff right here that kind of comes off. This right there. Like, stuff does leave the sun and start heading our way. It didn't look like, but we couldn't really see that was from some kind of explosion, but we'll see. So let's go to solar, the soul research. Where is it at? And I'm gonna look for yesterday as well, because I wasn't here to cover it, so we're just gonna kind of search for everything. So plenty of solar flares. So I'm gonna get rid of a couple of things on here. Just kind of clear it up because we've got a lot of flares and stuff to look at, it looks like, to see if any of these are large. So we do have some more CME stuff, the 17th, 18th, that is not the same as stuff that I covered earlier last week. This a couple days ago. So look for A1. So what I'm going to be doing here as I'm clicking through is I'm looking for, I'll try and get this as big as I can. I've noticed that this particular screen in other videos hasn't looked the greatest. So hopefully you guys can see that, but you can let me know if you can actually read what's over here. What I'm looking at on this list is I'm bringing up the flares that we see on the screen here. They are numbered up here by the letter that the list that they're in here. But really what I'm going to be quickly looking for is the class, the GOES flare class. So just kind of similar to the way that volcanoes and also earthquakes are leveled, is that the first level, or A, is like the first level of magnitude that's possible, and then there's a number system of 1 through 9, and if we get to a magnitude of 9, then the next step or the next class is B, and B is always twice the power of the event than an A. The next class C is twice or double the event of a B, and then we have this huge jump usually to X, Y, and then Z, and that can be those can be really wild events. Both, it doesn't matter what kind of event you're classifying as an X. It's large. Anything above an X9 is unsurvivable to a certain degree. We start talking about Carrington events, mass extinction, planetary eruption. Devastation. So we wouldn't even really be able to like scale anything above a 6X because we'd not be here anymore. So that applies to solar flares and different ways of classifying solar activity as well. So what I'm looking for in these flares is not an A or even a B. If there's any C's, then that's something to look at because that's a foreteller of maybe more of a potential for larger events such as an X or higher. So flares, we're just going to start clicking through rather quickly, but that gives you an idea of what I'm looking for when I'm clicking through these to see what's going on. The fact that there is a lot of flares is never a surprising thing. Now that we're getting to know the sun, this one doesn't have a class, but A7, so here we go. We might start to see, and there we've got 18. Here's another CME event. So this is just a couple of seconds on repeat of a video, but it's actually 3 hours worth of content. So 1 second for every hour. So this is not a large CME by any means, but it is something taking off from the limb of the sun. And this was on the 18th hour, starting hour 19. Let's go see if we can see it. It probably, if this is coming from Cactus, maybe not. But, and let's go see if we can. Again, this was on the 18th, hour 19 in UTC time. Since we're looking for flares, I want to be able to see in one of the higher angstroms. We're going to use this green one here. It's a little bit hazier, but it does show the really bright spots really well. And then the other thing that we can look on here is, so this is 22, so it's going to be coming off the limb to the right. And I believe that would apply to this video as well. We will see. But I'm wondering if it's that limb that we saw beginning in that other video, that like kind of take off of that. But this not seeing it. It's starting over. It might be that spot that's just right out of view. Let's take a look at this one. I don't look at this one a lot. When does this one start? This one starts at hour 18:05. This is a cool angstrom. What is this? This is 131. I like this this view. Okay, we're gonna move on, and we'll look at the solar wind prediction model of NOAA next, keeping this in mind from hour 18 that another one had gone off. So we'll keep looking at the flares here. A. There's a B 2.5, and that was at hour 19, or no, on the 19th at hour 4. There's another B2.3, B2.3, B2.4, and a B3.9. Our the 19th, hour 22, and this one is up here, closer to the lid. I know we've seen that already. You can backtrack if you want to, but I'm not seeing any C's, so that's cool. Okay. So the next thing that I want to do, so I don't even have anything that I'm going to note down necessarily. We are just going to keep watch though and see what's going on with the solar production model. I doubt that this has changed, but we shall see. So we did have a larger CME in which you will see here in a moment on the screen, and that storm was due to hit us, like I said, last night and into today while we pass through this area. So here it is right here. Whoop, boom. 19th. The last couple hours on the 19th is the 20th, so by the 21st we should be out of most of the cloud, and this will continue on into the other planets and the other areas of space. So hour 16 of the 19th is when this prediction model said we'll be feeling some stuff. All right. Just kind of quickly looking through some things to see if I notice anything that I really want to cover and talk over. So really the only thing that I can say is that I'm just so thankful that all of this amazing data is available to us. This is interesting. I was really expecting to see the planetary K index have a spike yesterday. It didn't. So I'm still kind of wary and keeping an eye out because honestly, I expected a little bit more from the impact that the sun gave us a couple of days ago. I don't know. Have we felt it yet? Like, I don't know. Is it going slow enough that it hasn't gotten here yet? Like, so we did have wind spike happen from early the 20th, hour 14th to 15. What time signature is this in though? Oh, UTC, I'm behind 7 hours. So for me, this would be 7 a.m. 7 a.m. to 12. 15 minus, 10 a.m. 7 to 10. Okay. So interesting. So yeah, I'm no scientist. I'm just a total space weather nerd that likes looking at this stuff. Trying to see. I'm looking for certain things, and it's kind of always hard to. Okay, here's one of them that I've been looking for and not seeing. So this is the geospace ground magnetic perturbation. I don't know. I can't talk. Words are not my friend. So I watched this yesterday because I definitely live in the northern hemisphere, and so I'm interested in this stuff because sometimes this stuff can come down and affect where I live here near Seattle. So at times, what we're watching for is the activity to come down and reach down here, which it does do sometimes. This is a global view, so this one is usually, we can see more on this map usually, so you get an idea of what I was looking for. These are the magnetic, poles, the North and the South Pole, and the magnetics, and we can see how there's more this way and this one's more that way. In fact, Suspicious Observers has a little bit of a snippet and the access to the clip, a clip that I haven't dug into more, but I'll probably show later this week. And then the last thing that I wanted to check on kind of in this category before we check on earthquakes and volcanoes real quick is the Schumann resonance today. So we did get a spike. Okay, so this, okay, my time from this time scale is 14 hours different. So 19 minus 14 is 4 a.m. So this spike would have happened there around 4 a.m. in Pacific or PST time, which means if we add 7 to that, we would get to UTC. So 4 plus 7 is 12. So about noon in UTC time, we had a rather large spike in the Schumann resonance. So I'm going to keep that in mind. What time was that flare at? Okay, wait, the CME, which wouldn't have been immediate, was hour 19 on there, and then when was this flare? Here we go. Hour 19 on hour 11 UTC time. Or 7 is 11. So this is at the same time as, exactly the same time as that Schumann spike was a B2.3 flare, followed by a secondary B2.3 a couple minutes later, a B2.4 another couple minutes later. So basically, yeah, we were having solar flares. Now, solar flares can take anywhere from a couple of minutes to a couple of hours to have their energy get here. So, is there a relation between solar flares and the Schumann resonance or solar activity spikes? I don't know. I am researching it because there might be, and I'm not positive. However, this is one of the reasons why I'm doing the channel, is because I see people every day on this Twitter, on many Facebook groups who are asking questions about the Schumann resonance, about solar activity, and what they are feeling in their own lives, asking questions that no one has answers to. And so I want to utilize the science that I do know and I do follow, space weather, and what I know about astrology to try and make sense of some of this stuff that is happening and dismiss some of the mumbo jumbo bull crap that so many people are just spitting everywhere all the time. It's no good. It's yucky. So I'm not a fan of disinformation. I'm not a fan of reading blog posts without any sources or knowing where they're getting their information, who their influences are, or who their favorite authors and people that they're doing on, which is one of the reasons why I've been so clear and common about stating what books I've read by who and what kind of science I am into, because those are the sources that I use, primarily astrology and like space weather science. So that's what's going on with it. So earthquakes, what's going on? So this is showing anything above 4.4, it looks like, in the last 2 days. And this 5.0 that's up here in the Alaska area, it looks like is the one that I'm gonna be concerning myself with. However, I saw two 6 point, there they are. Here's a 6.7 and a 6.9. Looks like 3 days ago down here. I'm gonna leave these on. So you can see them. Yeah, okay, here they are. We've got a 6.6 on the 18th, hour 0. In the Philippines, a 6.8 in Indonesia on the 18th at hour 22. Then we have a 6.9 on the 18th, hour 22 in Indonesia as well. So these are two different ones. Looks like they were only about 6 minutes apart, both at 22 or about 22 and 26 kilometers, which is not very far beneath the Earth's crust at all. So much activity going on. I don't even know what to do with it or what to say about it at the moment. I'm trying to get my own like research together on the back end so that I can actually kind of start to interpret it. But it is quite a job. Quite a job, for sure. Let's look at the other one. So this is the area. Let me check my stream actually. Okay. So this is the area that's getting these 6.9, 6.8 activity going on. And I can't help but notice that this is primarily the same area that has a lot of the active volcanoes. Now that's the thing, is this is current eruptions. These aren't just worldwide volcanoes. I mean, if we wanted to look at all the volcanoes in the world, I'll show you what we're looking at. Okay. If we want to look at all the volcanoes in the world, this is what we would see. All these red spots on here. Whoa, I did not know I could do that. Learning something new every day. But there, I mean, to make my point clear, there's freaking volcanoes everywhere. There's a lot of volcanoes, okay? There's a lot. They do tend to group. However, there's just sections of these things all the way. Now, they do have a tendency to be found on the plate boundaries lines. So the lines that just have appeared are the plate boundaries, and which in the ocean we can see really well because we can actually like see a lot of the times the plate boundaries down there through the water with our awesome technology these days. And volcanoes definitely have a tendency to be on or near those lines, but they don't necessarily have to be. It's common that they are, but they don't have to be. So here's one of these green lines. Let me turn off the boundaries so we're not getting confused with what lines are what. But this is a plate boundary line, so we see a lot of them there. And we have a plate boundary line here and here. But there are volcanoes that are not directly on a line. So the point that I'm about to make here is just the common realization or the common sense of that the earthquake activity that we're seeing in the areas of the world of earthquakes are also the same areas of activity that we see volcanoes having. This is a very easy realization to see. That these current earthquakes, these is only listening earthquakes above 4-point magnitude in the last 3 days, and this is current activity, an ongoing map of volcanoes that are active, meaning that not that they're totally exploding, but that they have shown either ash, small eruptions, or plumes, and are considered active volcanoes. So, eruption start date, eruption stop date. And a lot of these are marked continuing. So, we'll just take a scan down this eruption start date and see how many have started as of 2020. Four have begun in 2020, and it is August, a little over halfway through the year. Whereas, the ones that started in the 2019 are continuing. Some of the ones that started all the way back in 18 are still continuing as of June 4th. They're still continuing. So there's a lot of activity. So these are the ones that are seen on our earthquake maps and stuff. So oftentimes they are grouped together, but before I started looking at earthquakes, I wasn't really looking into volcanoes. But I quickly did start to look in because I kind of had to. I mean, I was really involved in what I was doing with looking at cartography. So if we look at this and we throw up cartography mapping, what's up with it? I mean, these are the lines right here. These are the grouping lines that are passing over the Earth when they do, and it's the same areas. It's the planets that are moving over these areas at the same time every day, very slowly moving their course and changing over time. But when we're looking at this day by day, the lines variation of the day doesn't change a lot. But I can tell you that these lines right here, the purple, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, but we've got the dark brown line here is Saturn. The purple is Pluto. This red, I believe, is Jupiter. It is Jupiter, okay? The green is Venus. Okay. These three right here. So if we look out in solar system scope, it's these three: Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto. What this means is that as the Earth slowly spins and makes its cycle, the Earth is spinning, and in different parts of the world are crossing over and seeing Jupiter and Saturn. But we also have a bit of a tilt. So this changes where the planets seem to cross different points on the Earth, and so we can see that when we look at cartography. So when we're looking at the kind of activity that's going on in the world right now, and so you guys can see this probably pretty easily on your screens right now on the bottom here, if I turn on earthquake watch instead, which I will do right here for you. So let's get off of give me just a second. Okay. So now you're seeing earthquake watch, earthquake 3D down here. So this is showing, which I thought it was all this whole time, but this is showing you the earthquakes as a comparison to what's happening in comparison. So I'm going to leave this up here so you can easily, and pause it, so you can easily see the different quakes and the numbers of the magnitudes comparatively to when I throw this up. And so again, we've got Venus, Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn. Same lines. Venus, Jupiter. Okay. So it's just pretty ridiculous. In the chat, Bone says, earthquakes happen when plates move and rub or bump each other, which is also the creation process of mountains and volcanoes. Yeah. So, yeah, and I just didn't really put it together until I started researching this stuff a little bit more closely, the relation between them. Like, I just it didn't like click with me of what earthquakes really were and or what volcanoes really were. I just didn't like I shouldn't put the two together. Like it didn't click with me. And so now it's starting to make a little bit more sense, especially if I try and sync it all together as to why things are happening where, and then I look at the maps and they all kind of like stack on top of each other. And then they seem to, the trigger of these certain forces and events seems to have a lot to do with sun events. So that's why I'm trying to kind of come up with this by layer instead of just looking at one or the other, because they are all linked together, but how is always the big question that science asks. So that's a little bit about what's going on with the current activity. Is yes, there is sun activity. Yes, there is a CME hitting us today. We're sitting in it. And I'm just going to do this again tomorrow. So thank you for being here for the episode. I really appreciate it. If you would like to hit subscribe, you'll see all the episodes on YouTube. And if you would like to follow me over on Twitch, you can join me for any of the live recordings that I do Monday through Friday. So thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.